Happy Rawsember, YouTube! I'm Big Scared, and today I want to talk to you about Moonstone Island. Moonstone Island is a creature collecting life sim by Studio Supersoft and published by Raw Fury. It's set in an open world with over 100 islands to explore. I got to play this on a day that I was homesick, and the premise was very much what I needed. It's in line with what you'd expect from a cozy game, and I'm going to give you the TLDR. As the new alchemist, you're sent out into the world by your parents to prove yourself. Along the way, you'll have to settle in, build a reputation, earn some cash, and master the craft of banishing. Don't worry, because before you leave home, your parents will give you a magic medallion where you can store up to 3 spirit companions, and they'll give you everything that you need to get started. That includes some seeds, a tent, and a basic set of tools. I'm gonna be honest with you, I accidentally got distracted when I arrived in town, and I ended up staying up too late that night, and that caused me to get an introduction to the townies that I'm assuming isn't quite intended. But with a little help, I was able to set up my camp, locate my first mine, and start up a plot of crops. Since the gameplay is pretty freeform once the setup is accomplished, I'm going to use the rest of this video to discuss the various elements of gameplay that I encountered in no particular order. Farming is the easiest and most approachable system in the game. It mostly works how you would expect. You're given all the necessary tools that you'll need to do farming from the start of the game, as well as some starter seeds, and it's one of the first mechanics that's explained. The initial tutorial teaches you the mechanics of farming, as well as how to harvest seeds from crops, so you can be self-sufficient from the start of the game. New seeds can be unlocked by harvesting them from wild plants, and if you sell those seeds you find to the botanists in town, they will become available for purchase in the general store. It's a pretty cool system, and I think this is a nice way to encourage sustainability within the game, and really encourage exploration as well, because you get some exotic seeds when you travel. Now, shops are varied throughout the game. You can upgrade your tools at the smithy in exchange for gold and various metal bars. Your home can be expanded and upgraded at the workshop. You can get fertilizers and other farming supplies at the conservatory and general store. There's also a fishing shop and a tavern where the townies will meet for drinks on Friday night. Now, most of the townies are romanceable, which each having a certain number of hearts that can be earned either through conversation, flirting, or gift giving, though some may ask questions if you give them gifts really early on in your friendships. Flirting is presented as a simple conversation option, weighted with a lower success rate than either friendly jokes or small talk. The success of any of these options seems to vary depending on time and location, so depending on where or when you talk to your townie in question, they might respond differently to the topics you present them with. I personally don't feel comfortable flirting with the townies while they're at work, but that's an option you could explore if you were inclined to do so. There are a couple methods of travel. You are given a broom at the start of the game, but it gets immediately broken. I'm assuming there's a point later on where you can either repair it or replace it altogether, but I didn't reach that point. Instead, I crafted a balloon. This is something you can attain pretty early on, but it is slow and it drains your stamina to use, so you don't get a lot of travel that way each day. There's also a flute, which can teleport you from anywhere to the center of town, but that can only be used one time per day. Regardless of your method of transportation, the goal of exploration is to check out the islands surrounding the town that you land in. This is where you're going to encounter new items to forage up, new spirits to engage with, and the various dungeons that you're going to need to explore. Now be advised, this is an open world game, and it's procedurally generated. While this only has to render one time, it can take a while. For context, I have a lower end PC, and this took a solid 2.5 minutes to render the world for my save file. Now, while you're exploring, you are likely to experience combat, because the spirits do need to be rendered docile. This is turn-based and deck builder style combat, which is something I was not expecting. Cards are drawn at the start of each turn, and they consume a predetermined amount of energy. When your energy is depleted, you must complete your turn and allow the enemies to strike. With some exceptions, the cards that you don't use on your turn will be discarded and then replaced with new cards on your next turn. This might sound obvious, but your deck is mixed. The more spirits you have, the more varied and dynamic your draws will be, and it will have a varied skill set depending on how you've upgraded them. Generally, regardless of which starter spirit you chose or which spirits you tame along the way, you want to whittle down your enemy's defenses before chipping away at their health bar. Depleting their defenses causes a spirit to become stunned. In this state, they will lose a turn and then take bonus damage from the spirit that put them into that stunned state. Now be careful, stuns do go both ways, and stunned spirits cannot be fed, so you won't be able to heal yours if you get stunned. Feeding enemy spirits could potentially win them over. While this can sometimes require a bit of patience, tamed spirits can either be added to your party or sent to the Science Center for analysis. The medallion your parents gave you at the start of the game can be used to access your spirit storage. It will hold up to 3 companions at a time, and you can interact with them inside the medallion, and this is how you'll level up your spirits. The most difficult combat encounters are often built into the various dungeons scattered around the islands. Now, these are intense battles against enemies with absurd amounts of defense, and they also have the ability to replenish themselves. These enemies are foreshadowed at the start of the dungeon and protected by a wide variety of puzzles and enemy encounters. Their difficulty is not only indicative of the significance of their placement, but of the rewards they protect. They guard a permanent upgrade to your character. The dungeons and mines are not necessarily the same thing. Dungeons feel pretty in line with what you would expect from a Pokemon gym trial, where it's a mix of puzzle and combat, whereas the mines in this game are distinctly oriented around resource gathering, with a little bit of combat smattered in there. Now, the mines were the most unexpected part of my playthrough. While I had an inkling that the mining was a thing, I didn't anticipate it to be executed the way that it was. The entrances to mines are scattered throughout the map, and they can be uncovered by breaking rocks kind of anywhere. They are sprawling, full of resources. It's hard to navigate unless you're plowing through it. But this is where you're going to get your metal ores, your coal, and a lot of stone that you're going to need to harvest. There is some limited combat in the mines, but the enemies that you'll encounter there are unique and will provide a well-rounded aspect to your team. It's worth your time to check it out. Now, the final element of the game is the singular hallmark of a cozy game that I was most looking forward to: fishing. That being said, this was a very challenging fishing minigame. You need to follow the cursor as well as reel at a specified rate within a given time period. Without upgrading your fishing rod, this almost feels comparable to an Undertale minigame. The fish can be sold, and it's possible that they have other uses down the line. The fish designs are interesting, to say the least. Generally, I really enjoy Moonstone Island, and I find it to provide a nice twist on the conventions of the genre of what you'd expect from a cozy game. Moonstone Island is reminiscent of farming sims like Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon, as well as certain RPGs. I'm thinking games in the style of Pokemon or Ooblets. Moonstone Island is out now on PC and Nintendo Switch. It's also available as part of the Remember to Remember bundle on Humble, and if you would like to know more about that, you can click the link in this video description. Thank you so much for watching my video today. If you like it, drop a comment, let me know. Feel free to smash that like button or subscribe.